Welcome to IRise Conversations with Joan, where we explore the stories and strategies of people who have overcome adversity and achieved success in their lives. My name is Joan Nwosu, and I'm the award-winning author of the book IRise, The 10 Secrets to Getting Up When Life Knocks You Down. Today, we have a fabulous and very special guest, Corrie Cotton. She is a seasoned corporate attorney, a Grammy-winning artist, an author, and a certified life coach. She's on a mission to empower professional women to step outside the box and into their purpose without sacrificing their passions. She has created several empowering programs, and her autobiographical one-woman show and biopic, A Woman Evolves, has touched the hearts of many women from different backgrounds, resonating with their personal journeys. She's here to share her story and insights on how women can thrive in their careers while also pursuing their passions. Welcome, Corrie, to the show.
Thank you so much, Joan. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Such a pleasure. Okay, so tell us a little bit about your journey, because you have come a long way. You've done a lot of things, but if you were to summarize what your experience has been, what your journey has been, tell us. We want to hear.
Well, thank you so much for the question. And, I'm going to do a short version and then I'm going to go and expand and expound on it. So the first thing I'll say is that I just don't do boxes. I do not do boxes. So for as long as I can remember, music has been a very, very important part of my life. I came from a legacy of music. My mother was on Stax Records, produced by the late great Isaac Hayes. My father my father hailed from a family of quartet singers, gospel, heavy and gospel, and they passed their legacy down to me and my siblings. And so I had the wonderful opportunity to travel as a featured vocalist with the Grammy-winning Sounds of Blackness, and that was an amazing, amazing journey. But I also, as a young girl, I think around 14 years old, aspired to the practice of law. Because to me, I saw law as a means to help build consensus, to build community, and to change lives. And through my young eyes, that's how I saw myself making a difference. But as you can imagine, going through both of those careers, there would be some struggle. For many years, I vacillated between whether to pursue music or law. I was touring the world, and I thought, oh my God, I'm supposed to be practicing law. When I was practicing law, I was like, oh my God, I'm supposed to be on tour. And what just happened to me was just an amazing epiphany. I just came to myself and I realized that I had the best of both worlds. And the reason that I had the best of both worlds is because there was something constant and consistent in both of those careers that spoke to the heart of me, which was connecting people, helping people to identify with themselves first, and then with the community. And I could do that as I was singing, delivering music on stage, and I can also do that while I was training and developing women in my legal career.
Wow, that is phenomenal. And I think that is something amazing story, by the way. So jealous. Amazing
I know.
story. But, as you were speaking, because a lot of people get really confused and they get very stuck in, I am a lawyer. I have to do this. I can only do one thing. You have to have focus. That's what we've been told. But you were able to connect the dots and really find a commonality in everything that you do. And you were lucky at a very young age, or maybe because you were born into a family of musicians, you were able to tap into that passion and talent of yours. And then at a very young age, at 14, you knew you wanted to be a lawyer. Some people at age 40 is still like, I don't quite know what it is that I want to do. But you said something.
Joan, you know what it's about, really? It's just about finding your strength.
Exactly.
And once you realize what your strength is, you realize that your strength has many arms and legs. I mean, culturally, particularly in corporate America, we are encouraged to do one thing, and to do that thing well. But when you are really tapped into your strengths, you'll find that it reaches many things, many industries, many types of careers. And you just have to really come to know who you are and what it is that gives you, purpose, what makes you want to get up in the morning. And for me, it wasn't, I love music. I love the melody of music. I love writing music. But what the real issue with music, as well as with my leadership role when I was in corporate America, is the people, connecting with people and helping them see the greatest part of themselves. And I can do that whether I'm doing it through music, or whether I'm doing it through law. And the important part of that is being able to see yourself in what you're doing. And then once you do that, you find multiple ways to be who you are.
Yeah. Okay. And I think that's where the whole, women empowerment comes from, for women to be able to identify themselves, see themselves, the best version of themselves, and really go after it.
Yes.
Why is it so important for women? Because again, we do come from a history of where women were told, first of all, we were seen and not heard, and then we're kind of told what to do. A woman's place is here, a woman's place is there. And so we've grown up not really knowing who we are, or feeling that we have permission to go find out who we are. So for women who maybe they've gone through life now and they think it's late, it's like they're in their 40s or their 50s and they still haven't found themselves, they don't feel empowered, they're waiting for someone else to come and empower them or give them permission to go find themselves. How can they shift from that mindset and really step into what you're talking about today, really knowing yourselves?
I love it, because you really just hit the nail on the head. I mean, I just love your energy and your spirit and what you're saying, because that's really it. If you think about, ladies, if you think about when you're on the plane, like, we are conditioned to take care of everybody else first, right? We take care of bosses, team members, colleagues, children, parents. And then when we're just about to pass out, we have like 5 seconds left for us. And what real good, right, can we be to ourselves, let alone anyone else, if we haven't really tapped in to what makes us happy? Because we are so strong, we can change the world, but we cannot do that if we're constantly sacrificing who we are for someone else's version of what they think we should be. And I started to say, when you get on the plane and the stewardess comes, and the flight attendant, comes, and he or she says, listen, in the event of some kind of turbulence or an oxygen drop, the mask is going to drop. And if you're traveling with someone, put your mask on first. And it's so counterintuitive to what we normally do. We're going to put there someone else's. And the reason for that, it took me some time to get it, it's because I can't really help the person that's sitting by me if I am not fully invested in who I am. And if I'm not fully invested in who I am, then I'm not really happy. And that's why it's important for us to do that. And how we do that is we really stop and think about what you're doing today. Are you doing that thing because someone expects you to do that thing? Are you doing that thing because you think that ties you to a certain amount of money? Or are you doing that thing because you feel that it gives you purpose? Because if it gives you purpose, you'll find a way to make the money. But if you're constantly every day doing the same thing over and over and over again, you're constantly losing yourself and you're denying everybody else the greatness that is really you, because you're stuck down in a box and then you're unhappy. And then we overcompensate with all kinds of artificial things, medications, just name the list. And so it is so important for us to tap into who we really are, because we deserve to be happy. And that is what empowerment is all about, is being who we are, unapologetically who we are. And that's what brings us our happiness and our purpose.
Wow. And like you said, it's really counterintuitive for a lot of women, and we really struggle to find our purpose. And I'm sure if we ask many women, what's your purpose? Oh, it's take care of my family. That's just the default answer. We can't think beyond that. So, and if you ask some women, but are you happy? They're like, oh, of course I'm happy. My kids, they go straight away to talking about their family and everything that they're doing for everybody else but themselves.
That's what we do. We're caretakers. I do this.
We're the caretakers.
I know that's what we do. Listen, I'm guilty. I love to, I consider myself to be a servant leader. So I understand that. But what I had, for all of you servant leaders, caretakers out there, this is what I had to do. I had to tell myself, like, how can I best position myself to really serve other people? And if I'm not let me tell you something. I was so fragmented when I was vacillating between music and law, because, they're going to think that I was a senior attorney. I was a senior level attorney. And there were those in senior management who said, how can she be serious about the practice of law, if she's out there writing books and traveling the world and singing on stage and doing these kinds of things? That's because they were looking at me through boxed eyes. And so they can only see me. They can't see the whole of me because they can't see another version of themselves. And so how dare I do something that's different because they're not tapped into themselves to do something different. So you have to watch how you do. Now, let me tell you something. Clearly, when I was traveling, in my early 20s, that was one way that I fulfilled the music. But once I moved into corporate America, of course, I couldn't travel the world the way that I did. But I developed a one-woman show. That's the A Woman Evolves. It started as a stage production and it transitioned into a biopic. But that was the way that I stayed with music, and I continued to write music. I stayed close to music. So you just have to think outside of the box. How do you bring together two loves, a passion and a dream? It doesn't have to be the same way you did it 100 years ago. You just have to stay in touch with who you are and what's relevant for you today in your circumstances. So this is a common challenge. And one of the exercises that I do with my clients, I say, okay, listen, close your eyes. Trust me, just close your eyes. And I tell them, imagine yourself like being completely whole, whatever that means to you. Imagine yourself being completely whole. Imagine yourself thriving. Imagine yourself not being, oh, I just can't wait to wake up in the morning. Oh my goodness. Imagine you're in the utopia. You're in your ideal life. And I go on and on and on in this scenario. And then I'll tell them, open the eyes. What are you doing? That's probably your passion. And if you're honest with yourself, it isn't being really a lawyer at work. That's not really what it is for you. Or, taking care of whoever you're taking care of. That's just a product of what you do. But who you are deep down inside is what connects you to your purpose, what makes you want to get up. And not only get up, but get up and thrive every day. That's where you start on finding your passion. Once you find it, the rest is history. You can figure out what to do with that once you find it.
Yeah, I can agree with that because I was lost in corporate America and just grinding and had told myself that I love what I'm doing. This is what I was called to do. But I went through a similar exercise like you just described, and it was like, what? So people, even till now, people are shocked that I'm not doing what I used to do because that defined me. That was all I knew. That's what I thought I was here to do. But after going through the exercises myself, I found that I wasn't really happy, but I had told myself I was happy because I was making money or whatever it was I was doing. But you're right. The moment you figure out what your passion is, what your purpose is,
changes your trajectory completely. And you know what confuses us a little bit too, Joan, is that we feel like what we're good at is what we're destined to be. You can be good at a whole bunch of things. And it's just what you do. You can do those things, but it doesn't mean that that's your purpose just because you're good at it. So it requires us to do some things that we say we don't have time to do, which is self-reflection, spending time with yourself. It takes some time to do that, but my goodness, it is so worth it once you figure that thing out. That's why when you say, well, how are you going to balance all this life coach and singing and telling these stories and, because they're all tied to the same passion. I'm just finding different ways to do them.
Yes. And I think a lot of people need help with that. A lot of people, they know that they're created for more. They know that there's a fire burning inside of them. There's a deeper hunger. There's an emptiness. They want to do more, but just can't figure it out. They're still stuck in the, I need to pay bills. This is what I studied in college. I'm good at it. Yeah. Of course, I need to take care of all those people. And so they're stuck. And that's where working with someone like you can really help, can really pave the way, open that door. And once you're free. You are free.
Getting outside that box. And the thing is people don't realize is that you can still pay the bills. Because the other part of that exercise, I would say, is, what is that one thing that you would do if you were told that you're never going to get paid for it? And then I say, okay, I'm losing people now, right? But then when you find that thing, guess what? When you're passionate about it, it usually has something to do with purpose and helping other people. And so then you find creative ways to build empires out of that thing. If you think about most millionaires and billionaires, they didn't just say, oh, what's going to make me money? They found something that they were really interested in doing, really love to do. And then they found the way to make that something an empire, kind of thing. And we can do the same thing. We really can.
Yeah. And because it's your purpose and your passion, it doesn't feel like work. Like if someone asks you to work extra hours, you're like, ugh! But if it's what you love doing and what comes naturally to you,
anyway,
who cares about the time? We'll just do it.
Exactly.
I think it's very encouraging for people who are probably feeling stuck, who've been questioning their lives. Because I think I strongly believe that everyone gets to a point in their life where those questions start to happen. Why am I here?
Yeah.
This is all there is to life. How can this be it? I want more. I want to do more. I want to achieve more. Where here is the starting point, really figuring out what it is. What is your passion? What is your purpose? And really feeling empowered to step into that. And it doesn't, you don't have to lose all the money. You might not make as much money, but trust me, the fulfillment you get
is worth it. So many people are making so much money and they're miserable. So you have to figure out what's important to you. And they're not necessarily mutually exclusive. I am building my empire today based on my passion. And it will far exceed the great money that I was making in corporate America once upon a time. And something else I want to tell to your wonderful listening audience is don't get yourself stuck in another box finding your purpose. Remember, we are all evolving. So just because you had this passion or this thing at 25, now you think you're obligated to stick with it. You're evolving. Listen, if I wanted the very same things for myself that I wanted at 5, there's a problem, right? That means I'm not growing, I'm not developing, I'm not evolving. So don't be afraid to go with the flow. Don't be afraid. That's why you always have to be in a continuous process of self-evaluation, because you'll learn some new things about yourself, things that you want in your life, things you want in your love relationships, things you want in your personal, friendships, anything. Those things will evolve as you evolve, and it's okay to do that. Don't get stuck into this, oh, I'm being wishy-washy, or people are going to think this, or people are going to think that. Listen, the power in perception is knowing which perceptions matter. Then you figure out how to manage those. But you don't have to manage every perception.
I think the universe just delivered that message to someone. Someone needed to hear that today, to be free, being stuck in this. This is who I am. This is what I've always enjoyed doing. This is what people know me for. And now you're stuck. You're stuck in that thinking, oh, passion is my passion forever. You just a lot of people. You're evolving. And that's the name of your show as well. A Woman Evolves. And I think back to as women, we just feel we need to be, that structured, secure. People need to know what we stand for. This is who we are. And we can't be flexible and we can't change because people are judging us.
Reject that. Reject. That's the first thing you got to do is reject all those people who are living, trying to tell you what you ought to be. And they weren't on the conference call when you got the message.
The conference call.
Listen, all it takes is just to be still and quiet, and don't be afraid of being with yourself. Because if you listen to yourself, if you listen to the spirit within, you will begin to hear some things that you have been rejecting for a long time. And why were you rejecting them? Because you were so busy living somebody else's version of you. Now, what good can that be? What? Because they're not even living the version of themselves that they want to live. So how are they going to tell you, right?
Yeah, so true. So true.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about A Woman Evolves.
Yes, it is, so let me tell, speaking of finding multiple ways. So A Woman Evolves started for me in the early 90s. Yes, as a one-woman production. I was thinking about transitioning from the version of music that I was doing, that is traveling the world and that kind of thing. And I just had this vision to do this one-woman show. And what it is about is my story. It is about me struggling between passion, which was music, and dream, which was the practice of law, and me figuring out how can I do one or the other? And ultimately coming to the realization that I didn't have to choose. And so that's what A Woman Evolves is about. It's a full stage production, and it's monologue, it's song, it's a little humor, it's me talking to people, real talk. And it's very, very uplifting, and it's real because it is my story. And women relate to it, and men actually, not because your struggle may not be music and law, but it's something and something else. And
Everyone.
whatever those principles were that I used to get out of my box are the very same principles that you can use to get out of yours. And so then in 2020, when COVID came, we couldn't travel with the production anymore. And so we decided, hey, let's put this on film. And so last year, we did a biopic so that people around the world could see this story. And I'm really pleased at that. And then everything else became an extension of that. So my radio show is called AWE Radio. And my LLC is called A Woman Evolves because that is really who I am. So I might find 35 things that I could do with A Woman Evolves because it's still tied with empowering women through all these different platforms.
Absolutely. And then you have other programs, coaching programs that you help women.
Yes.
So can you just
I
tell me a
do.
little bit about some of your coaching programs?
Yes, I have. Oh, yes, absolutely. And thank you for asking. I have the Empower Woman's Masterclass. You can only imagine what that's about.
Mhm.
I have the Power of a Made Up Mind and the Elite Career Accelerator. And the Elite Career Accelerator is really giving women the tools to break through what they think is a glass ceiling, because we get stuck at a certain level and we think that's the only place that we can go. And I give them some good tools that they could use to get through that glass ceiling and get to the next level.
Wow, that's phenomenal. So any woman or maybe man.
Hey, yeah.
Exactly. Because men face that too.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So it's all about getting you to the next level, really stepping outside of the box and achieving the best version of yourself, really tapping into your purpose and your passion to create the life that you truly desire. And I know coaching has been given a bad name recently, but it does work. If you work with the right person who has done it themselves, they have the tools, they can help you get there quicker than you could ever do it on your own.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And let me just give a couple of examples to a couple of tools to your listeners, my friends in corporate. It's about what we've been talking about, but more specifically, it's tapping into your strengths. And let me give an example. So if you are, in a corporation, you're at a junior level, you think you got to do whatever everybody else is doing in order to survive or in order to be seen. But that's not true. What you need to understand is what are the priorities of the organization. Then you look into your own skill set, your own toolbox, and says, what am I really, really passionate about, and also very good at that is directly tied to the organization's priorities. When you have organizational need plus skill set plus passion, you're already well set for extraordinary leadership because you're making a difference. And in corporate America, you make a difference by adding value. And it's not just enough to be good at it because that's a job. But if it's also tied to something in you that's passion, then now you're in a career, and that's where you have longevity. Yeah. And so that's that's one of the and it is not about figuring out what you're bad at and getting better at. It's figuring out what you're good at, what you love, and getting better at that. It's tapping into your strengths. And let me just flip that for the organizations. If anybody in management is listening, we mess up a lot because we hire for diversity. And then we find ourselves kind of organically managing for similarity. So why are we asking for diversity of thought? And then we get in, and I measure your greatness by how much you act like me. We make a mistake. And then we start doing whole development plans around fixing what you're not doing right. And that's how organizations lose diverse talent. And you lose it to other companies who are allowing their managers to focus on strengths and not weaknesses.
Hmm. That is so counter to at least how I was raised, where your weaknesses were things that you had to work on. Focus on your weaknesses. You need to get better at your weaknesses.
Only if it's a fatal flaw, only if it's something that is holding you back. But let me be really ridiculous about it. Listen, if you are bad at basket weaving, and nothing in your development plan, nothing in the company's goals have anything at all to do with basket weaving, why are we focusing on that for here? Why are we focusing on that? And think about it, as many reviews, performance reviews as you've had in your career. You know how we do. We're perfectionists. We hear, oh, you're great at this, you're great at, you can use a little work on this. And we forget about all the things we're great at. And then our mind goes immediately to what can we fix? And instead of looking at what is it that I'm great at that is directly tied to the priorities of the company, or to my division or to my department. And it's a mindset shift. And we really have to do that in order to succeed and get to the next level. And let me also say, relationship building is authentic relationship building is extremely important. Nobody is going to move you through with your head down, thinking that you're going to get discovered because you're so great at what you do. Look up and build relationships and use those strengths and let people see the value that you are adding. That's how you stay if you want to stay in the organization. That's why you have to say. And one more piece, you didn't ask me this, but that's what you brought me on here, so you got to let me say. One more thing is, if you have been in your company and you have not sought out, you don't have to call me, but you have not sought out a mentor, a sponsor, a coach, someone to help you navigate, to put your voice in a room when you don't even know those rooms exist. And every day, you're doing everything you can. You've already spoken to people, and for some reason you just can't see yourself there, or it's just that the environment doesn't speak to you. Sometimes the answer is a new environment. Sometimes that's the answer. So I could go on, but let me tell you that before we leave here, I'm going to give you and your audience some information where they can go and get a free gift from me. I want you to have it for free. It's 7 things you can do today to get unstuck and change your professional and personal trajectory. So I'm going to give you some information before we close so that people can go out there and get it.
That is awesome, because I do think that a lot of people are stuck. But now I want to go back to a couple of things that you said. So we talked about focusing on your strengths. So that's easy to understand. Stop focusing on your weaknesses. Look at the company's objectives and see how your strengths tie into that to create value. Easy. But a lot of us don't do it, but there you go. The second thing you talked about was relationships and building relationships. And it's tough for women. And I speak for myself and a lot of women who we're constantly down. Our heads are down. We're not able to be up there, to be seen. We don't know how to toot our own horns. We don't speak about ourselves. If someone says, "Oh, that was amazing," like, no, that was not a big deal. Yeah, it didn't take me that long. I didn't do too much work on it. That's how we're conditioned and wired. But I hear you saying that, no, you need to make sure that your name is being mentioned in those rooms. You need to know that those rooms do exist. You need to have the right sponsors, the right partnerships, the right relationships where people can move forward. What are some tips? Because I know, I speak from personal experience, and a lot of women that I know are just not wired that way. They feel uncomfortable. How can they get unstuck? Is that doing?
It's true. No, and it's true, ladies. I don't want us like Joan and I, like we woke up like this. It's been a journey, because I was also one of those women who felt like, well, I don't want to brag. Oh, I don't want to, but change your mindset. Communicate what you're doing in a way that it serves the company. So don't say, I'm this, I'm great, I'm this. Say, I know that the company's goals or the department's goals or the organization's goals are this. And this is what I was able to do to further those goals. Don't make it about you. Make it about the value that you're adding. That's what people are going to remember. They're not going to remember you're so great initially. They're going to remember, especially like your immediate manager, they're going to remember how you helped them and meet the goal and how you made them look good. And let me tell you something else. In the beginning, as you're building those relationships, because especially with your manager, you have to build trust. Don't get so hung up and say, hey, make sure they say it was me. Your manager knows. Your manager and all of her colleagues know, or his colleagues know, that as you work on building that trust, to let that manager know that you're not a threat, but you're here to help her or him meet the needs of the organization. And now, if you know everything, you have some bad apples and everything. So sometimes, you might have to play it a little bit differently. But it's about building relationships. And when we think about building relationships, it's really about building trust, whether it's a client, whether it's a partnership with, a colleague. And then when you're interviewing and you're going for that management role, think holistically. Like if someone says, "Hey, have you ever managed?" We go, "Oh, well, I didn't have any direct reports, so no, I didn't manage." Hold on. Were you in charge of a project? Did you have to engage all of those people on the project and select people to do certain jobs because of their skill sets? It's called management, my friends. Yeah. It's called management. So it's thinking more broadly. We do so much more than we give ourselves credit for. Absolutely. That's one thing. The other thing is, if you're newer to the organization, or if you've been in an organization and you're stuck, get you a mentor. Pick someone that you admire, someone that you've seen navigate the same kind of environment that you've been trying to navigate, and let that person help you navigate that corporate maze, if you will. And then the third thing I would say is position yourself for sponsorship. Because in my experience, mentors are selected by you, but sponsors select you. Nobody wants to invest in you unless they see that you're consistently making a difference, consistently adding value, all those things that we talked about before. But treat yourself like the CEO of your life. All of us CEOs have boards of directors, don't we? And they all serve a different purpose. And after a period of time, guess what? They change. We move and get another set of boards. So that's just what sometimes it just seems like it's so complicated because we think, well, if I just, stick my head down and stay out of trouble, they're gonna find me and I'm gonna be discovered. That happens once in a blue moon, but you have to be active in your trajectory, and you have to surround yourself with people that you can trust and that are going to help you advance your trajectory. Okay. And some of those people may be outside as well, outside the organization as well, like a coach.
Like a coach, exactly. Like a coach. Very, everyone needs multiple coaches. Forget one coach.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so now I know that we've talked about purpose, we've talked about the corporate career, we've talked about how women evolve, we've talked about different things, your programs, things that can help women move forward. So for a lot of women, like for me, when I started to step out of my corporate job and was starting to do other things that I was passionate about, I got a lot of backlash. Like even the organization where I worked was like, what the hell do you think you're doing? Why are you all over the place on the internet? Your social media is all, this is a corporate job. It's similar to what you were saying. While in the law firm, it was like, how is she all over the place, traveling and singing and performing? How can women, and I'm sticking to women because women are the ones who really struggle with this.
That's my audience.
How can we balance this? How can we not become shy? Because a lot of people, you venture out, that happens, and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna go crawl back into my corporate job, just go back into hiding. I don't need this.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand that. And in full transparency, like I was in my last corporate job for 19 years. And so when I was in the beginning of that career there, I was less open about the things that I was doing, in terms of building. And so I understand that, because it's about knowing your environment and knowing where you are. And it's also about timing. Right? It's about timing. You can work on developing the thing that you really want to develop outside of corporate without making a big fuss. Don't advertise to the people in your organization.
Like, I'm a coach now. I'm a coach.
Right. Hello, I'm a coach. Exactly. Don't do that. And make sure that you keep your network tight. Keep your network tight. But at some point, you're going to have to make a decision. You're going to have to decide what it is that's important to you, what you want to do. For a long time, I did them both, but I was limited in my coaching because I was at a senior level and I couldn't market to the company because of my position. You didn't want it to look like you were using your position and all of that. But what happened was I started doing things away and people started getting wind and they started couching it in terms of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And the company came after me and said, hey, can you speak to these people? I'm like, oh, me? Oh, is that what you want? Kind of thing. And then eventually I made a decision when it was time for me to transition to expand to do something more broadly that did not include that corporate role, kind of thing. However, guess what? I have a lot of corporate clients that I speak to. So you just have to be creative, and really give it some thought. And I'm a super big fan of vision boards because you have a lot of things running down in your head. You don't know what to do. But if you put that stuff down on a vision board and start mapping out what you're doing, making sure that you're maintaining connections, you'll see the path. And this is what you're saying, Joan. I'm so glad that you said it. This is why you need help. Sometimes you can't figure it out by yourself. Maybe you need a coach, that's got that, someone who has navigated that, someone who has some great tools for you to use to navigate, that kind of situation. But it is absolutely doable. And I have experienced all those things that you guys have experienced. What about the hair? Should I use this? What if they don't know? Oh my God, don't tell them I'm a singer. Oh my God, listen, why am I dimming my light? I am who I am. I can do this. I can do that and do that well. And I can do this because I am a multifaceted woman of God who has gifted me with things. And it's not for me. I'm not any more special than you. I just now receive that anointing, right? And then I use it instead of trying to dim my light. Because when you dim your light, you're not serving the people that need to hear your story. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Like I was about to break into a dance. I'm like, yeah, preach.
Come on now.
Stop dimming your light.
Stop doing it, ladies.
Yeah, we do that a lot. And I think like just hearing your story, I could feel the fire inside of me. So I think it's so important for women to share their stories, to do what you're doing, but we just don't do enough of that.
We don't. We feel like we're living in isolation. We feel like we're in competition. And this world is so big. It's enough for all of us to do what we do. And this is why I was telling you before we started about the Her Woman Evolved. Like we all have a journey. And I have this series on my HWE radio show called Her Woman Evolves. And we're talking to women from all over India, South Africa, obviously the United States, Canada. And what we're finding in each one of those stories is, a head nodding. Oh, yeah. I understand. And it's so important for us to connect with each other and tell our stories, not only to preserve our legacies and to have our own healing, but to reach back and get that other woman who has not yet gone through what you're going through, but is on her way there and can learn a lesson that you had to struggle to learn because she's heard your story. That's part of our journey. And that's part of our journey in corporate as well. When you're in the seat of power, open the door for another sister who's coming through that, because that's part of your evolution, right? And that's part of your empowerment by empowering other people. So yes, you are so right, Joan. It is so important for us to share our stories with each other, because together we are stronger than.
We are definitely stronger. And I really hope, as I'm super encouraged today, I hope that everyone who's listening, you're feeling that fire burning inside of you. Maybe you felt I'm alone. No one knows my story. They don't know what I've been through. Trust me, we're all going through something. It might not be exactly the same, but it's very similar. And there are people who've gone ahead. There are people who have figured it out. You can tell that. You don't have to make the same mistakes anymore. You don't have to feel like, okay, well, my family doesn't get me. No, there are other people outside that get you. There's a community of people who are willing to support you, be there for you, guide you. And like you said, when you get there, open the door for someone else. Because I think
you said it. Oh my God. I know why this audience loves you now. Look at all these jewels and nuggets that you're imparting. And I love that what you said about family, and by family doesn't mean, because family is sometimes by birth and sometimes family is chosen. So let's just broaden our thinking. Let's just get out of the box, period, on things. Don't be limited. Well, I only have what I'm given. No, you also have what you get. So go get it, girl.
Go
Go
get
get
it.
it.
Go get it. Love it. Okay. So final words. What final words do you have for people who are struggling? Because I know everybody's going through something. And with the pandemic, people went through even way more stuff. So for people who are struggling, feeling lost, I have no passion, I have no purpose. I hear that a lot. What advice do you have, or what tip do you have for them today that they can start to shift?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of what we said already, but one thing for sure is to just stop. I love to say, just stop wherever you are and first smell the roses. And if you think that you have not added any value, stop and think about the last time you heard a friend or community person or somebody say, "Oh my God, I'm so grateful when you did such and such and such." That's something, that's a strain. If you find that there's somebody that's constantly telling you, you have three people that are telling you the same thing about the value that you add to their life, and you're thinking, "Oh, that's nothing. That's just what I do." That's because that's what you're passionate about, girl. That's what you're good at, right? And just because someone doesn't see it in another environment, that might not be your environment. But I'm here to tell you, if you just stop and reflect, stop and think about those things we were talking about, Joan and I, about what is it that moves you? What is it that you dream about? What is it that if nothing required anything, any money or whatever, you just were able to do it because it just gets you out of the bed and it helps somebody else? Think about that thing and how you can apply that thing to your current situation or change your situation and do the thing. Have some courage, because I'm here to tell you all, you are stronger than your sorrow. You are stronger than any box that anybody tried to put you in. You are stronger than any limitation that people are falsely telling you is the case. There's strength, and there is strength in numbers. Connect to another sister and share your story. You'd be surprised at the doors that will open up, and not only the doors, but the mindset that will open up inside of you.
Wow, amazing, amazing. Thank you so, so much. Wow.
Thank
Oh my
you.
God. A powerful show by a powerful woman. Thank you so much for being here with us. I feel fully inspired, and I really believe that your message has touched a lot of people today, a lot of women who have been feeling stuck. And I will share your details in the show notes. And I want to encourage everybody out there who's listening, if this resonates with you, you're feeling stuck, there is help available. Reach out, get started, because life can definitely be better. We are better than our sorrow, our story, our limiting beliefs. We can do way more. There's power in numbers. It's on. No boxes. We're getting rid of the boxes.
I love this
No
woman.
boxes. No.
Congratulations, audience, for having this woman here. She's amazing. And Joan, if you'll let me, I promise that I would tell people where they could go to get that 7 things you can do today to get unstuck.
Yes.
Please go to C like Candy, ORES like Sam, Cotton, COTTON.com. It's 7 things you can do to get unstuck. And get on my mailing list, y'all. I want to keep y'all in the loop so we can take this journey together. And guess what? Surprise, surprise. I'm not going to tell you, I'm going to let her tell you, but we're going to have a certain host on our show coming up real soon. I'm not calling any names, but I think you know who she is.
I think we can guess. Thank you so much. This is so much fun. So many nuggets.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing with us today. Really appreciate your time. To my listeners, well, I'm sure you're full. I'm very full today. And I really pray and hope that your life becomes better. I really hope that you feel empowered. You can take the steps that you need to have an amazing life. Thank you so much, Corey, for being here with us today. Look forward to being on your show.
Yes. Yes, very soon.
Let's share some stories.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, thank you so much, Joan. This is amazing.
All right, have a great week, everyone. See you same time next week on IRise Conversations with Joan.